pharmaceutical industry.
Presiden menekankan dua hal penting terkait kerjasama peningkatan kesehatan ASEAN-India. Pertama, yang disampaikan Presiden adalah kontribusi India pada penguatan kerjasama industri farmasi di ASEAN. Melalui penjajakan kerjasama di bidang produksi kebutuhan medis, termasuk bahan baku obat dan vaksin, pengembangan dan riset vaksin. Hal kedua, digarisbawahi oleh Presiden kerjasama dalam peningkatan SDM kesehatan.
The government wants to learn from Thailand, which no longer required quarantine for tourists who had been vaccinated. The policy was known directly from the Prime Minister of Thailand during the 13th Indonesia-Malaysia-Thailand Growth Triangle Summit.
Coordinating Minister for the Economy Erlangga Hartarto said Indonesia wanted to learn from Thailand, which no longer required quarantine in order to prevent the transmissions of COVID-19 to tourists who had been vaccinated. The quarantine-free policy applies to tourists visiting Phuket, one of Thailand's mainstay tourist destinations. He said the policy was known directly from the Prime Minister of Thailand during the 13th Indonesia-Malaysia-Thailand Growth Triangle Summit. The summit was also attended by President Joko Widodo.
Perdana Menteri Thailand bahwa Thailand sudah membuat regulatory sandbox bahwa vaksin travel yang pergi ke Phuket itu tidak dikuarantin. Nah, itu sudah berlaku sejak bulan Juli dan tentu ini menjadi pembelajaran bagi Indonesia. Nah, tentu kita bisa belajar dengan apa yang dilakukan dengan Malaysia dan kita sudah mulai membuka di Kepri maupun di Bali. Tentu kita akan belajar. Saat sekarang kita masih memberlakukan kuarantin dan juga memberlakukan PCR dan kita belum membedakan berbasis kepada vaksinasi.
From that policy, he continued, the number of tourists in Thailand began to increase after falling due to restrictions on mobilizations and activities that had been imposed. Likewise, with the value of foreign exchange and income of the surrounding community. On the other hand, Erlangga said that the result of the IMTGT summit also wanted countries in the Southeast Asia region to immediately discuss the policy of travel bubbles and vaccinated travel lanes for tourists between regions. IDX Channel reports.
Deputy Minister of Finance Wahasil Nazara said that Indonesia needs up to 3,500 trillion rupiah to reduce the use of coal-fired power plant to achieve the carbon emission reduction target.
Deputy Minister of Finance Wahasil Nazara said that Indonesia needs up to 3,500 trillion rupiah to reduce the use of coal-fired power plant to achieve the carbon emission reduction target. Thus, the government had tried to meet the funds needed by using the state revenue from tax payments. It was still not enough. In addition, Indonesia has been committed to reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 29% with their own efforts and up to 41% with assistance from the international community by 2030. Hence, the country must reduce the use of coal-fired power plant, considering that they produce a considerable amount of carbon, around 35% of which is generated from the community's energy consumption. However, decreasing the utilization of coal-fired power plant is difficult as they have been contracted by the state-owned electricity provider PLN. Hence, he hopes that Indonesia can receive international support to achieve the reduction target. The support is expected at Conference of Parties 26 meeting on climate change in Glasgow, Scotland, from October 31 to November 12, 2021. According to the Deputy Minister, the meeting can be a milestone for the international community to realize their commitment to assisting the developing countries in achieving various targets related to the issue of climate change. IDX Channel reports.
Moving on to global update, the United States economy grew at a slower pace in the 3 months ending September 2021. Meanwhile, Qatar has reached a deal with the hotel group Accor that will house fans visiting Qatar during 2022 World Cup. And more stories on today's International Minute.
The United States economy grew at a slower pace in the 3 months ending September as a wave of COVID-19 cases, supply chain bottlenecks, surging inflation, and ebbing federal financial lifelines downshifted the pace of the nation's economic recovery. U.S. GDP grew 2% in the third quarter from the same period a year ago, the U.S. Department of Commerce said on Thursday. That initial reading marked a sharp slowdown from the second quarter when GDP adjusted for inflation grew 6.7%. Supply chain woes cost Apple $6 billion in sales during the company's fiscal fourth quarter, which missed Wall Street expectation, and Chief Executive Tim Cook said that the impact will be even worse during the current holiday sales quarter. Cook told that the quarter ended September 25 had larger than expected supply constraints, as well as coronavirus pandemic-related manufacturing disruption in Southeast Asia. While Apple had seen significant improvement, by late October, the chip shortage has persisted and is now affecting most of the company's products. Qatar has reached a deal with the hotel group Accor to manage apartments and villas that will house fans visiting Qatar during next year's World Cup, the Cup's organizing committee has said. Qatar's Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy on Thursday said in a statement it had signed an agreement with Europe's largest hotel group Accor to run operations and services across its host country real estate portfolio through the end of 2022. Myanmar is part of the Asian family, Brunei has said after a summit of the Southeast Asian Regional Group, which bear Myanmar General Min Aung Hlaing for his failure to implement a reconciliation plan agreed at a previous meeting in April. The military seized power of Myanmar in February, detaining civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi and triggering mass protests and economic chaos. IDX Channel reports.
Market headlines will be right back after the break. Stay tuned.
Ingin menjalani kehidupan yang mapan dan masa depan yang sejahtera? Sikapi uang dengan bijak. Mulailah berinvestasi di pasar modal. Dengan membeli saham melalui Bursa Efek maupun perusahaan sekuritas, Anda dapat menikmati hasil keuntungan dari perusahaan-perusahaan besar yang tersedia. Pastikan Anda berinvestasi di perusahaan yang memiliki izin resmi, cerdas mengelola, masa depan sejahtera. Otoritas Jasa Keuangan, lembaga pengawas industri jasa keuangan yang terpercaya.
Segmen milenial ini untuk mengajukan KPR sampai dengan saat ini seberapa besar Pak Harun?
Kalau dibilang tadi saya bilang 7 juta ya at least ya, dan itu sebagian besar itu milenial. Kita siapkan pertama tentu literasi, edukasi, kemudian akses. Mereka harus mulai mengenal perbankan, memiliki rekening, menabung, dan juga memiliki rumah dengan cara KPR.
Harga saham emiten Bank Digital PT Bank Jago Tbk terkoreksi di tengah munculnya transaksi saham besar-besar UVCR yang ternyata naik sekitar 4,22%.
Awali hari Anda dengan beragam informasi bisnis terkini yang kami kemas dalam berita teraktual dan berkualitas. Power Breakfast, informasi terkini seputar ekonomi, bisnis, pasar modal, dan industri kreatif yang dikemas secara ringan. New Screen menyajikan informasi ekonomi, bisnis, dan keuangan. Market Headline menayangkan berita ekonomi dan bisnis dalam bahasa Inggris. Saksikan program-program berita ekonomi dan bisnis terkini langsung dari sumbernya, live hanya di IDX Channel. Your Trustworthy Economic, Business, and Capital Market Channel.
Welcome back. Governor of Bank of Indonesia, Periwarjo, asserted that the impact of the Federal Reserve's tapering policy on Indonesia would not be as severe as the taper tantrum in 2013. However, he asserted that Bank of Indonesia would continue to monitor and take anticipatory measures.
Governor of Bank Indonesia Periwarjo ensured that the impact of the Federal Reserve's liquidity reduction policy or tapering to Indonesia would not be as severe as the taper tantrum that occurred in 2013. Perry explains this belief arises from several things. First, the Fed has periodically signaled change to the public that this policy will be carried out in stages.
Dengan Fed taper tantrum, bahwa pengaruh dan dampaknya terhadap Indonesia dari rencana Fed tapering ini jauh lebih rendah dari Fed taper tantrum pada tahun 2013. Perlu dipahami bahwa bacaan kami Fed tapering itu dimulai dari pengurangan penambahan likuiditas. Yang selama ini Fed itu terus menambah likuiditas, tambahan likuiditasnya secara bertahap dikurangi. Baru bulannya, ya kita harus waspada, ya kita harus terus memonitor, ya kita harus melakukan antisipasi secara baik. Tapi kalau bandingannya dengan Fed taper tantrum, insya Allah ini itu saja kita bisa mengatasinya dan lebih mampu.
The projection of the National Central Bank is that liquidity reduction will be carried out throughout 2022. Meanwhile, the increase in the Fed's benchmark interest rate is likely to occur in the third quarter or fourth quarter of 2022. Second, Indonesia's economic fundamentals are quite strong. This is reflected in the national current account deficit, which is estimated to be only around 0% to 0.8% of GDP this year and even lower next year. IDX Channel reports.
Minister of Investment Bahlil Hadalia deemed the energy crisis that hit several countries in Europe and China as an opportunity to boost investment into Indonesia. The minister affirmed that the energy crisis had pushed up electricity prices in these countries, so it would certainly have an impact on the production prices. Bahlil stated that by relocating to Indonesia, these countries can cut down their costs, as the electricity price in Indonesia is not as high as the countries affected by the energy crisis. Thus, the production costs are cheaper and products are better.
Ketika harga listriknya mahal, maka pasti akan berdampak pada harga produksi. HPP sebuah produk negara itu akan naik. Dampaknya apa? Pasti produk itu akan biayanya lebih tinggi untuk dipasarkan kepada rakyat. Nah, strategi yang kita bangun adalah, kan energi kita sini kan oversupply sekarang. Kita data dari PLN untuk Jawa Bali, kita oversupply sekitar 2.300 megawatt. Maka inilah kesempatan momentum untuk kita meminta kepada perusahaan-perusahaan yang ada di negara itu segera melakukan relokasi ke Indonesia. Kita ini kadang-kadang negara-negara sahabat kita yang lain yang jauh-jauh sana itu kadang-kadang merasa sok tentang green energy. Padahal mereka juga sekarang yang negara-negara yang katanya nggak boleh pakai batu bara, nggak boleh pakai fosil, sekarang mereka krisis energi bikin lagi batu bara.
Indonesia and Sweden have agreed to cooperate and develop a roadmap for blue economy as a new source of economic growth. Minister of National Development Planning, Suharto Monoarfa, says that both countries face similar opportunities and challenges to develop a blue economy as the basis of national development.
Indonesia and Sweden have agreed to cooperate and develop a roadmap for blue economy as a new source of economic growth. Indonesian Minister of National Development Planning Suharto Monoarfa, Swedish Minister of Infrastructure Thomas Eneroth, and Swedish Environment Minister Per Bolund inked an agreement in Stockholm, Sweden recently. In a statement, Minister Modarfa said that both countries face similar opportunities and challenges to developing a blue economy as the basis of national development. Suharto believes Indonesia could learn from Sweden that has successfully developed a blue economy strategy, which covers blue growth strategy and marine spatial planning, among others in line with the agenda of the 26th UN Climate Change Conference of the parties to be held in Glasgow in November this year. The blue economy covers various sectors including fisheries, marine product processing industry, sea logistics, trade and shipyard industry. Minister Modarfa said it also includes marine-based tourism, biotechnology, renewable energy, management of ocean resources, and human resources. For additional information, Indonesia and Sweden will begin their cooperations with the implementations of the Sweden-Indonesia Sustainability Partnerships at the end of November this year. IDX Channel reports.
President Joko Widodo started working visits to 3 countries, Italy, the United Kingdom, and the United Arab Emirates, to attend various high-level global agendas and conduct bilateral visits. The president said that working visits to Italy and United Kingdom to participate in 2 high-level conferences. At the G20 summit, President Joko Widodo will receive the chair of the G20 presidency from Italy, where Indonesia will hold the G20 presidency until November 30th, 2022. From Italy, the president will continue to Glasgow to attend the COP26 Climate Change Summit. After that, the president will leave for the United Arab Emirates for a bilateral visit, where this is the first bilateral visit the president has made during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Saya akan memulai kunjungan kerja ke 3 negara, yakni ke Italia, kemudian ke Inggris Raya, dan ke Persatuan Emirat Arab. 2 kunjungan yang pertama adalah untuk berpartisipasi pada KTT G20 di Roma, Italia, pada tanggal 30 sampai 31 Oktober 2021, dan KTT Pemimpin Dunia COP26 di Glasgow, Skotlandia pada tanggal 1 sampai 2 November 2021. Selain hadir itu, saya akan melakukan berbagai pertemuan-pertemuan bilateral dengan sejumlah pemimpin dunia. Dan di akhir KTT, Indonesia akan menerima keketuaan presidensi G20 dari Italia.
Stay with us because market headlines will be right back after this break.
Ini adalah acara yang sudah aku impikan sejak lama. Karena demi cintaku, acara hari ini harus kejadian. Mohon doa restunya, Pak. Bu, hari ini aku menikahkan masker dan vaksin. Sah! Ini karena aku sayang keluarga dan pengen semua sehat. Kalau kamu sayang keluarga, yuk nikahkan masker dan vaksin.
Ya halo pemirsa, nama saya Mangivera Tjong. Saat ini saya menjabat sebagai presenter dan juga associate producer. Saat ini saya membawakan program IDX Session Closing, di mana di program tersebut saya menganalisa isu-isu ekonomi yang menarik, baik dari luar negeri maupun juga dari dalam negeri. Tentunya hingga saat ini saya masih terus belajar dan saya sangat menikmati profesi tersebut. Satgas COVID-19 tetap mengingatkan agar masyarakat tetap disiplin dalam menegakkan protokol kesehatan.
Pemerintah akan melakukan upaya terbaik untuk memvaksinasi sebanyak mungkin orang dan secepat mungkin.
Kementerian Perdagangan optimistis target pemerintah untuk membuat 30 juta UMKM go digital bisa tercapai di akhir tahun 2023. Wisata Bali dan Labuan Bajo hingga saat ini masih menjadi favorit.
Welcome back at the Jakarta Composite Index Intraday Movement. Earlier today, JCI was opened at the level of 6,565.23. Then approaching the closing time of the session, the index was on the level of 6,574.67. Then the index was showing strengthening trend by the second session closing time. Index was closed at the level of 6,591.34. In short, JCI went up 1.03%. And next, we're going to see the sectoral movement leading the dynamics of today's trading. We got basic as the leader of the strengthening trend that went up 1.62%. Industry went up 1.53%. Infrastructure went up 1.5%. And then finance went up 1.34%. And moving on to top gainers and top losers, here are the key highlights from today's trading session. Bank BRI went up 0.24% to the level of 4,250 rupiah per share. Arto went up 4.38% to level of 15,500 per share. Astra International went up 0.42% to level of 6,025 rupiah per share. And Bank BCA or BBCA went up 1.36% to the level of 7,475 per share. Meantime, the top losers for today's trading, we got BBNI went down 0.71% to a level of 7,000 rupiah per share. ITMG went down 3.89% to a level of 21,600 rupiah per share. Unilever Indonesia went down 0.45% to a level of 4,420 rupiah per share. And Trim went down 2.37% to a level of 412 rupiah per share. And we're going to see the intraday movement of rupiah towards the US dollar. Opened at the level of 14,169 rupiah, was also showing strengthening trend towards the US dollar and was closed at the level of 14,166. In summary, rupiah went up 0.24%. During the first 9 months of 2021, Pura Delta Lestari posted a net profit of 634.64 billion rupiah, or a multiple increase compared to the same period in 2020.
During the first 9 months of 2021, Pura Delta Lestari posted a net profit of 634.64 billion rupiah, or a multiple increase compared to the same period in 2020 of 302.45 billion. Based on the financial report, in the first 3 quarters of this year, Pura Delta Lestari's total operating revenues reached 1.31 trillion, or much higher than the same period in 2020 of 654.9 billion rupiah. Along with the increase in the amount of revenue, the cost of revenue recorded by a company by third quarter increased to 567.55 billion rupiah. Thus, the company's gross profit for the first 9 months of this year was 739.67 billion rupiah. Meanwhile, Pura Delta's operating profit as of the end of third quarter was recorded at 593.41 billion, an increase compared to the end of third quarter of 2020, which was valued at 285.07 billion rupiah. IDX Channel reports.
Bank Mandiri managed to record a net profit of 19.2 trillion rupiah in the third quarter of 2021, or grew 37.1% year-on-year.
Bank Mandiri managed to record a net profit of 19.2 trillion rupiah in the third quarter of 2021, or grew 37.1% compared to the same period last year. Bank Mandiri President Director Darmawan Junaidi said the net profit growth was also supported by the company's consolidated credit rate, which was able to grow positively by 19.93% year-on-year. The net profit growth was also offset by low cost funds. The CASA ratio increased by 7.15%, which was at the level of 74.57%. Darmawan continued that the net interest margin ratio also improved to 5.03% in the third quarter of 2021 from 4.7% in the third quarter of 2020. Meanwhile, asset quality was maintained with an NPL ratio at the level of 2.96%, and restructuring affected by COVID-19 was recorded to have fallen by 6.4 trillion rupiah since June 2021 to 90.1 trillion rupiah in September 2021. IDX Channel reports.
Step aside from market condition as the efforts in achieving herd immunity is still going on. Here it is an update data about COVID-19 vaccinations in Indonesia. And the news closes our market headlines today. Please enjoy our next program on IDX Channel, your trustworthy economic, business and capital market channel. To prevent the spread of COVID-19, always wear a mask and get vaccinated immediately. Masks have been shown to reduce the risk of transmission by 80%, while vaccines minimize the risk of death by 73%. So let's wear a face mask and get vaccinated, because masks and vaccines keep us healthy and happy. I'm Wicky Adrian. Have a nice evening and stay safe.